Good morning, everyone. So, today I have come to talk about Toyota's 4Runners, the more specific year 1991, the year that I drive, and why they're such a valuable rig in the asset of a kid first starting out, or even someone that just needs a dependable rig. They're some of the best rigs you can buy. They're cheap and hard to kill. I've learned that the very hard way. They're all around the world. There's many uses and many things that they're used in, like terrorist cells. 4Runners in the Toyota community of wheeling are known as some of the biggest names in Toyota, but most commonly just the first gens. Mine is the second gen. They are used, but they're not as common. There are many different styles and years. They still are being made to this day. I think they're in the 7th gen year now. I'm going to talk about the style that existed in 1989 to 1996, more specifically the 1991 model. I'm going to talk about the engine specs, different styles, and different add-ons you can put onto it. So in 1991, Toyota 4Runner had a 3-liter V6 engine that was made out of cast iron. These engines were built in 1987 to 1997, and they were most commonly used in the early years of the second gens. So about 1990 to about 1992 is how long they had them in there before they started swapping a 3.4-liter engine into them. This engine has a 145 to 185 horsepower, 172 to 189 foot-pounds of torque, which is surprisingly a lot for a rig most of the time, especially in that year, but they were used mostly for out in the woods and getting around places that are tough to get around, so you have to have a good amount of power and torque in them. The red line for this rig in RPMs is 660 RPMs, or 6,600 RPMs. It has 10 weight, 30 oil, 4.5 quarts of that, and usually you just put about 5 because half of a quart goes into the oil filter when you change your oil. The tire size on these at stock is 31 are 31s, 10.5 wide, and 15-inch rims, which not a lot of rigs anymore come stock with 15-inch rims because you can't fit a 15-inch rim on stock brakes anymore. They had 2 different kinds of transmissions. They had an automatic and a manual. The automatic was an A340F, which is just the style of automatic transmission it is. And then the manual is what mine has, is an R150F. I don't really know what the A and F and the 340 and 150 stand for in them. I just know that that's what they are, and if you're looking for parts, that's what you would tell the parts place that you need, and they would give you the part you need. The other thing that they have were body styles. There were 2 distinct body styles in a 91 4Runner. There are 2 different headlight styles for them. They're what they call a 2-piece and a 1-piece. A 2-piece has a headlight and a separate blinker. A 1-piece is a headlight and blinker all together. So if you were to break a blinker on mine, you would just buy just the blinker. If you break a blinker on one that has a 1-piece, you would be buying the headlight and blinker together, and it can cost a little bit more. They have a spare tire. There are 2 different kinds of spare tires on these. There are the ones that you usually see on some rigs. They're just up underneath the rig, or then there's a spare tire rack. Mine had a spare tire rack on it, and they would swing out so you could open the tailgate on it to get into the back. They have what they call a moonroof, or as we like to call sunroofs. The moonroof on some of these were just a little bit different. They would either just lift up, kind of like a vent, or you had the ones like in mine where they slide open and slide closed. There are roof bar systems on some of these for mounting roof racks, mounting stuff to haul skis, kayaks, stuff like that. A lot of them didn't really come stock with it. It was kind of a non-popular option back then when they were making these rigs. Now on to some mods and add-ons that you can put onto these to make it better for wheeling in the snow or going out in the woods to go camping or even just getting around town overall when the weather's bad. There are some rock protection, which is like rock sliders, bumpers, brush guards, differential armors they call it. You can buy these as weld-on, attach-ons, and stuff like that. Most of them are not too expensive. They're semi-cheap for some of the cheaper stuff, or you can go more expensive. And then there are lights and tires. Lights, you can upgrade the lights on these very easily with LEDs to make your headlights a little bit better while driving. They're what they call truck lights. They are very bright LEDs. I don't have a pair, but my uncle has one in his. And they are very nice for when you're driving, and they're cheap. They're only like $100 for a set of two, and you put them in, and they give you really good viewing. Tires overall, tires on a 4Runner, I'd like a wider tire when you're going, so like a 12.5 or 13.5, because when it snows some on the road, it gets a little bit easier to drive with a wider tire, because you get better traction on the road with more surface touching the road. And like on my rig, I added hitches, because you always know that time when you're going to be out doing something, you get stuck in the snow, and there's always those like little cars that get stuck in the snow, and it's hard to pull them out. Like, how do you pull out that car? Well, there's nowhere to hook onto the front. Well, I put a hitch on the front of mine because I knew that dilemma of pulling someone out of somewhere when you can't back up to them, or you can't get hooked onto the front of yourself to get pulled out. So I put a hitch on it, which they're easy. They're like $30 to buy one and put it on the front. So I'm going to go over what I talked about. There are a lot of specs for them, which is the V6 engine, and then there was the body styles, the headlights, the tire rack, and the moonroof with the roof bars. And then there's the add-ons like rock protection, bumpers, lights, tires, and hitches. Now I'm just going to end it here with a little story about my 4Runner. My 4Runner, I drive that thing everywhere. It's been through a lot. I've blown up engines in it and stuff. But me and my friends, we love to go out and do stuff all the time in this thing. We've been many places. Just last year we went out and played in the snow, and I decided I'd try to go over a place where they just plowed. And I learned that the snow was not as forgiving to me. I decided to find myself about a 3-foot hole and get really, really stuck. We sat for a good 2.5 hours digging with shovels, trying to get myself unstuck. Finally, when my uncle shows up and drives by us, and he just happened to look down the road as he was going by on the highway and seen us stuck. I mean, we were that close to the road. He stops and pulls us out. And I can say that 4Runner, it only ever gets stuck in some of the hardest places. But that 4Runner was cheap for me when I bought it. It was only $3,200. But since I've owned it, I put a lot of money into it. I put almost 13 grand into that thing, but that's my own money, and that's how I kind of felt about it. But you can buy these 4Runners and Toyota pickups for very cheap, and they survive for the longest time if you treat them well and nice. That's all I gotta say.